Hello and welcome. We start with the situation in the Democratic Republic of Congo. The Rwanda-backed M23 rebels have declared a unilateral ceasefire after days of fighting that has killed hundreds and displaced thousands. Rebels have cited humanitarian reasons for the ceasefire after they captured Congolese territory in the eastern parts of the country. The group now says it does not intend to seize any territory further, despite saying otherwise last week. It also added that it will hold on to its positions. The M23 rebels have seized Goma, the biggest city in the mineral-rich eastern region of DRC. It is also the capital of North Kivu province, the epicenter of years-long fighting in the country. The rebels had entered the neighboring South Kivu province and were advancing toward the capital of Bukavu, but they now say they have no plans to capture the city. Last week, they also vowed to march all the way to the capital Kinshasa and, quote-unquote, liberate the city. The pause in fighting comes after hundreds of thousands of people have been displaced. The United Nations says at least 900 people have been killed and 2,880 injured in the recent fighting in and around Goma since last week. The escalation in DRC has triggered reactions from other parts of the world. India has advised its nationals in South Kivu's capital of Bukavu to rush to safer locations. The advisory also states the reports of M23 being around 20 to 25 kilometers away from the capital Kinshasa city. About 25,000 Indian citizens live in the Democratic Republic of Congo. Around 1,000 of them are in Goma. The Indian government says its citizens in the captured city are all safe. Thousands fled Goma city after the latest fighting began. As the rebels have announced ceasefire, some of them are making long journeys back home, while many are reluctant and fear violence and looting.
This fighting reminds me of how we fled Kichenga after fighting broke out there, but it has now again followed me to Goma. My family and I decided to flee again to Rugerero in Rwanda, but I don't want to return to move to a decent place, like a city. That's why I say, those who wish to remain are free. It is their wish, but for my family and I, we are moving.
This latest fighting caught us by surprise. We took off and ran after we heard that they were approaching Goma. We went to Kituku, but most of us have since returned to bring down their structures and move away, which we are also doing. We want to go back home because the conditions at the camps are deplorable. The heat in the tents is too much, diarrhea and hunger, so we decided to go back and farm. We can at least feed ourselves because there seems to be no solution here.
The Rwanda-backed rebels have shown intent that they can restore order and govern in the captured territories. Rwanda has been facing intense backlash for backing the rebels. Meanwhile, Rwandan President Paul Kagame, who is the commander-in-chief of the Rwandan Defense Force, said in an interview that he does not know if his troops are present in the DRC. He added that his country will do anything to protect itself. Though Rwanda blames the DRC for supporting rival ethnic militia, it has been accused of using the M23 rebels to loot the DRC's minerals. Kagame will attend a regional summit with the DRC President Felix Tshisekedi this Saturday. Both leaders have been no-shows at previous talks attempting to broker peace between the two sides. Will the ceasefire and diplomacy work this time to restore peace in the DRC, which has been plagued by decades of fighting and unrest? Now, for more on this, we have with us Dr. Charles Sinkala, international relations expert, who is joining us live from Johannesburg, South Africa. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure for inviting me.
How credible is the M23 rebels' ceasefire declaration, and what are the key factors that will determine whether it holds in the long term?
It is quite difficult in terms of having confidence in terms of the ceasefire holding, because there's quite a lot of questions that has been questioned all over and again I've been listening to you talking about the M23 rebels are being backed by the Rwandese government, of which Rwanda has denied on several occasions. I don't know if you have even any proof thereof. But for the sake that Rwanda has denied any involvement of backing the M23, that also begs the question of who is funding them. You know, what are their agenda in terms of them fighting within the Democratic Republic of Congo? Issues of ethnicity and the borders, which has been put in the colonial times, has also made it very difficult. You know, I see most of them are being regarded as the Congolese, but Congo people or other Tutsis and the Hutus are saying they are not from Congo. The acknowledging of the M23 as a negotiating partner, I think it's a big mistake in terms of the government of Democratic Republic of Congo. Once they legitimize them that they are part of the negotiating table, it also brings up issues in terms of the legitimacy of the government and what is happening. But as we have historically seen, that these M23, also known as the Nyamlenges, they've been there for many years, like more than 30 years. You know, most of the time they've been found themselves on the negotiating table for ceasefire. And mostly the ceasefire has been penned on the supply of their supply of their demands, and including financing their operations. So no sooner those finances and their operations has been met, they will continue the fighting for the territory.
Right. The M23 stated that they will be holding their positions. What challenges does this pose for the Congolese government and the ongoing peace efforts, especially in considering the displacement crisis and local community responses?
Yes, I think the M23 now, they've got power that they've been recognized by both the current government of Democratic Republic of Congo under Felix Tshisekedi, and as well as the regional organization, which is the East African Community, and as well as the international community. So they hold so much solid ground as they control most of the eastern part of DRC. Should their demands not to be met as they have itemized or put in the agenda of the negotiation, they will continue, you know, to do what they do. And we hope that the arranged meeting between the president of the Democratic Republic of Congo and the Rwandese president Paul Kagame, it shall yield some results that will last within that. But for now, we can only hope for the best.
Right. Doctor, thank you very much for being with us and for those valuable insights and all the latest out of Goma.
Thank you.
We're calling the show Vantage. We hope you like what we put together for you. Touted as the minimum defense from that video. India's neighbors were the first to send the special edition of Vantage live from the White House throughout the week. Yes, Hindu Mandir we're on our way to Tel Aviv. Pretty measure, but it's also the perfect way to drive.
I don't think that
Prime Minister of Bhutan, Sherin Thagbé. Welcome to
60% of the world's
office. Prime Minister Modi did the iron.
We were actually
How are you doing? How do you like? It's been 1 year since that meeting. Iron bars separate you from the outside. Out the vote efforts. Trump had, it says, and at $4.3 trillion. 4.3 300 billion by 2030. That's what we need to tackle climate change.